Okay, let's take the chain tensioner out, and this should be pretty straightforward. I actually marked the top left side of it with an X. This maybe just goes in one way, but if there's an X on this side, now of course this is looking at the head from the underside of the head. So just for reference, whoop, 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 whoop. This thing has a fair amount of tension on it. Um, there should be a shim under here. And, well, I don't see any shim yet. But there she be. Some marking on it. So this is the orientation. Interesting device. There's the shim. So let me go get that. There's the shim. I'm just taking this off just to see what's going on here. Aha. So the shim is held on by this little pin that sits right like thusly. And I didn't note the orientation of this when it came out, so I'm going to have to go by the wear mark. And the wear mark's on the inside, so it looks like it was in this orientation rather than that orientation. So the profile is like that. It's going to be interesting getting that thing back in there. There's quite a bit of tension on it. So let's take a look at the cylinder head gasket. I was able to pry it up, but this is what the underside of the head looks like. And all the O-rings look pretty intact, all around. Of course, you got some carbon in the cylinders, but it doesn't look too bad. This was damaged, I think, when I was taking it off. So let's take a look at the other side. And so here you can see a lot of what looks like remnants of corrosion. And this looks like gasket material. But what I was told, I talked to a friend of mine about cylinder head gaskets and when they fail and how they fail. This version of the Alfa block, cylinder head I should say, did not have roll pins in right in these areas here, these 6 areas. I think later cars had them, but this is a 74, so this would be earlier. They just had the O-rings. And what I was told is that due to the different characteristics of thermal expansion and contraction, basically what's happening is that the cylinder head and the block are cooling at different rates, even though, because the cylinder head is like a different amount of mass, so it'll cool at a different rate than the head, than the block. So that expansion and contraction over time will eventually cause the head gasket to fail. So this car only had 10,000 miles on it, and you know, arguably, I shouldn't say arguably, by all evidence, I mean, the cylinder had failed. So basically, what's happening is the gasket fails more on a, you know, it seeps into the coolant through either the underside here, or it delaminates. Now, I'm going to show a picture of the block in a little bit, but typically when you take a cylinder head gasket off, it sticks mostly to the head itself, which it did. The gasket came off with the head, but there is some material left on the block, and you can probably see some of the areas here where this has come off. This looks pretty pristine over here, and I guess if this gasket were, you know, were pristine the same way it is over here all around, then we might not have had any failure. But I guess it's the delaminating that happens in some of these areas over here and over here that causes the failure. So that's what I learned from Gordon, who is one of our Alpha experts. And you know, on the Alpha bulletin board, some of these people are completely invaluable. You'll learn more from somebody like Gordon in a 15-minute conversation than you will in a book. So anyway, listen, there are a lot of great mechanics. I mean, Rich Davison, who of course built my other 1750 engine. But I hope he enjoys this series, because this is new territory for moi. Anyway, so let's take a look at the block side. All right, here's the block side. As you can tell, there's a lot of delamination here. In other words, a lot of material stuck to the block. So that's more evidence that the failure was, I guess, pretty prevalent. In other words, there was a lot of delamination around the entire periphery of the gasket. And you know, as I go along, I'm trying to clean up a little bit of some stuff around here, just to make a little bit cleaner environment to work in. But anyway, so that's it for now. So now I got to take the head studs off, or I should say the exhaust studs off. That's proving to be a little bit of a difficulty even with the double nut scenario, so I'm going to have to video what's going on there. All right, well, that's it for now. Well, because it's such a nice day out, and it's New Year's Day, and it's bright, bright sunshine, beautiful, beautiful weather, I figured I'd open up the garage and let some warmth in, but I think I'm going to try to take the gas tank out. So I removed all the screws. Those came out without too much fanfare. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this 2x6 under there and get a little bit of tension, upward tension on the gas tank, and simultaneously I might get some heat on the seal over there that goes around the perimeter, and by heat by virtue of a blow dryer, and see if that can crack it at least, and then see if it'll come out. All right, so what I did is I taped off the some areas where I don't want to scratch the paint taking this thing out, and It did crack, so I think it's pretty loose. I took the tension off. Now I'm gonna put the tension back on and just see how it wants to move. But I'm thinking generally it's gonna want to go in this direction a little bit, and then towards the passenger side, and then up and out. But I won't know until I start moving it around. Oh gosh. Prior to removing the gas tank, don't forget to take off this fitting on the bottom of the tank. Idiot me, I was trying to lift it out and this is still connected. So let me get that puppy off of there. Yeah, but the main story, of course, is the tank itself. We're gonna see what we can do about this little minor rust. Gonna try to keep this original finish on it. I mean, it's as original as it gets. Looks like it's pretty thin because it wore off here. Very unusual. As a matter of fact, it wore off all around here. I don't know what the story with that is. But anyway, that's your Alfa gas tank, 12 gallons. And the restoration of this is going to be a subject for another day. I'm going to try to do electrolysis on it, as well as to fill it with some acetone. But anyway, let me get some caps on this thing so it doesn't leak very much. There is very little left in there, as I mentioned before, but I'm going to get some caps on it that I just bought. So let me get that done.